While my brother went on the dark web, he suddenly slammed his laptop shut. It was so loud I practically jumped. "What happened?" I asked, watching his face drain of all color as he sat frozen on his bed. But he didn't say anything. I started getting nervous. "Luke, what's wrong?" He jumped up saying, "Oh my god, oh my god." I started getting scared, but he still wouldn't answer me. "What do I do? What happened?" As I got up to see what it was, I opened his laptop and instantly felt my heartbeat as I saw his dark web browser and a message that said, "I know where you live, kid," with our entire address. He started shutting all of our blinds and walked back to our room shivering and his eyes wide. We both looked at each other, but then another ding came from his laptop. We looked, and it was another message. This time they sent a photo. "Don't open it," I said, knowing it could be anything, but Luke was already double-clicking. We both gasped because as soon as it opened, we saw the picture of our front door. Luke looked at me with pure horror in his eyes and immediately jumped up. He ran to our front door, slamming the lock shut, ripping all of our curtains closed. "Oh my god, what do we do?" he said. I told him we had to tell our dad, but he said no, we cannot tell dad. He knew if he found out Luke was on there again, he'd ground him for life. We both just sat there terrified in silence, wishing this wasn't actually happening. That night, we pushed our dresser against our bedroom door and tried to sleep, but I couldn't. We both kept jumping at every little sounds, thinking we were getting kidnapped. Morning finally came, and it almost felt almost normal as we went to school, both of us pretending the previous night was just a bad dream. I jumped at the phone ringing in the middle of class, and when my teacher answered it, she says, "Yeah, she's here," looking directly at me. "You need to come to the office." She brought me there, and I saw 2 police officers standing there waiting for me. They looked angry. One of them says, "There's been an emergency at your house. Have you been doing anything suspicious online?" I felt my heart start beating faster. No, I said, trying not to make eye contact. "Brother is in serious trouble with some dangerous people online. You need to come with us." I looked over at my teacher and she nodded. "Go with the officers, honey." I grabbed my backpack and followed them out, but their car was solid black with tinted windows. I thought they must have just been undercover, but the moment I got in the back seat, I noticed there were no door handles on the inside. They drove past the turn to my street, and when I said, "My house is that way," the driver just replied, "Don't worry about it." Suddenly I felt wrong. I looked around the car more carefully and realized there was no radio, no equipment that police cars always have. Then it hit me. These guys weren't real cops at all. We were driving further out of our town, and I knew I had to do something. I decided I had to act fast and tried screaming at cars next to us at a red light. "Help! Help me!" But as soon as I did, he put his hand on my mouth, pulling out a handgun. Tears streamed down my face as I realized what I had gotten myself into, and Luke was probably in the exact same situation. I sat there silently crying, frantically looking around the car for a way out. But then, they started arguing about the gas tank being nearly empty. We had to pull into a gas station, and I was thinking about screaming again, grabbing the gun, doing something. But then a police car pulled up next to us, and I prayed they'd notice me. They stepped out, and the real officer walked over and asked if everything was okay. He noticed I was crying, but as the guy held the gun against me, not letting the police officer see, he said, "Oh, don't worry, officer. This is my niece. She's just misbehaving." I tried to give him a look, tell him I was seconds from never seeing my family again, but he didn't notice. The cop walked away, and they drove out of there as fast as we could. I thought my life was over, but then he said it. "If she goes missing, that cop will know." He saw our faces, man. They started panicking, and before I knew it, they stopped and made me get out. I had to run back to the gas station with my hands tied, and I'm very lucky to be alive.